Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skysworld.com for life coaching and mentoring. I'm in the office, paying some bills, taking care of business. Let's talk about random events. Is there any actual truth to randomness? Are there actual random events, or is that sensation of randomness just our own ignorance playing out? Are we just blind to the facts of an event? You get hit by a car and you think, oh man, that's so random. But were you just not paying attention? I mean, even lightning. Lightning strikes at random, we think, but not all storms have lightning, and somebody who's an expert in storms can tell you if this storm is going to have lightning or not. In fact, if you watch the news, that can tell you with the radar, on the weather report. We have storms around here, and they don't all have lightning. Some do, some don't. A weather expert knows that stuff, and if you know about lightning, then you also know that maybe it's not predictable exactly where it's going to hit, except for if there's something that's conducive to electricity. There's all kinds of electrical conductors that draw lightning in. So if you're walking out in the middle of a field with a giant metal pole in your hand in a lightning storm, oh, there's a really good chance you're going to get struck. Is that random? Oh, it's just so random. Is it really random? Is lightning really random if you study it? If there's experts out there that know everything about lightning, do they think that it's completely random? Because random has this mysteriousness to it. Or when you ask, well, how did that happen? And people are like, I don't know. It's just some random thing. I'm going to get with experiments that if you don't have a consistent outcome, if you have a varied outcome, an outcome where there's no pattern, a set of experiments, you do experiments 1,000 times and there's no real pattern, it's just random results. Maybe randomness does exist in that case. It's hard to buy into the idea of fate completely, as if we're living in a video game or a story or a movie where everything is pre-written and that you have no actual free will. It feels like we have free will. This is my problem with some of the heavy-duty Bible thumpers, is they have ditched free will completely. And they talk about how everything they say, do, think, every action, everything is of God. Everything happens because of God's will. Nothing's random. Nothing is just happening without God making it happen. We're all puppets in this puppet show. It's hard to buy into that. So I don't know if everything is planned. You throw a ball up in the air and how far it's going to go and where it lands. That may seem random to us, but to a scientist, to a mathematician, they could tell you, they could analyze it and tell you exactly where it's going to land, do the math. Does math take out all the randomness? Does knowledge take out all the randomness? Is randomness just a personal condition of ignorance where you don't know? You're walking down the street and you get hit by a safe that fell out of a 20-story building. To you it may feel like a random event, but isn't that just your own ignorance, that you weren't looking up at that time? You didn't see a couple guys pushing a safe out of a window? You know, we have to ask ourselves, do we want meaning in our lives? Do we want purpose in our lives? And I find that there's a scientific mode of skepticism that really latches on to randomness as the rule. Everything happened at random. The earth was created just by a series of random events, even though, geez, all those events had to come together so perfectly. And we're having a hard time finding other Earths that it does kind of feel like that. How could that be random? Sure, one or two random events comes together, but all the different things that the distance of the Earth, and take an hour to get into it, the size of the moon, the distance of the moon, the way that the Earth and the moon rotate around each other, there's a whole series of factors. Everything comes together to create this life on this planet, and that's just random? The laws of probabilities say that there should be thousands, billions of Earths out there, of habitable planets. It would be improbable, not very likely, very confusing, mathematically, statistically, if we were the only planet in the universe with life on it. When you think about probabilities and what's likely, thinking that we're so special that this is all just some random event, that's laughable. So you have to ask, do you want meaning in your life? Do you want any symbolism in your life? Because when you look at the world through the eyes of meaning, that there's meaning to what's happening around me. That event had a meaning, a purpose to it. Why did that happen? There must have been some meaning to it. Some people say, no, there's no meaning, it's just a random event, dude, just forget about it. But there's two different worldviews. And if you want a worldview of meaning, you have to look for the signs and signals sent your way. Some people are they're such nihilists, and atheists are particularly like this, where they don't actually have a worldview, they just deny all the other worldviews. They walk away from everything, saying all the beliefs, saying that's bullshit. These are the skeptics. And being a skeptic is good in science, but when does skepticism, nihilism, turn into its own religion? Its own worldview of denial. What happens to a person if they don't have a worldview? Food for thought.